All right, why don't we get started here? Thank you all for joining us here this morning or this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you're coming from. My name is Greg Aperian and I am the VP of Customer Experience here at Corbett. I'm joined by my colleague.
Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm George Klopp. I'm our Chief Technical Officer here at Corbett. So in other words, I'm the head geek over our R&D department, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to be here with you guys.
First of all, happy St. Paddy's Day to all that are celebrating today. It's the morning for some of us here, so we'll see how we take advantage of that later today after work. But other than that, we got an exciting discussion here for you today on a technology that we've had for quite some time and that we've enhanced called space management. George and I are going to take you into a presentation now and be having a discussion. And I want to just set some ground rules. So let's pull up the screen here so you can all see it. Can we see the screen? George, can you confirm?
Sure,
all
looks
right.
great.
Great. So let's go full screen for you here. So thanks for joining us today here, and some ground rules. George and I really like to make these conversations interactive. We've got a lot of good knowledge to share here today and inform you about the functionality and how you could use it. But we really do like to have you participate by either asking questions. So you'll see a little tab on the GoToMeeting application interface where you can ask questions. We encourage you to do so. We'll answer them throughout and at the end. We're also going to send a few polls to try to be interactive here today, get your feedback along the way. So we ask that if you're willing to, please participate there as well too. So without further ado, let's jump in and get started here. And maybe what I will do here is to just start getting interactive right from the start. Let's start with our first poll. I'm sending this poll right now. We'll give everybody about 30 seconds here to answer the poll. All right, looks like we're good there. Most of you answered yes, that your employer is already preparing with technology to get you safely back to the workplace. That is great to hear. So let's keep moving on here. So 2020, what a year, right? It disrupted many companies and business models, and business leaders scrambled to navigate a rapidly changing environment. So for many of us organizations, right, this included shifting to a full-time remote staff, responding to the social justice movements, determining how to best support employees' well-being, managing a hybrid workforce, and now addressing legal concerns around the COVID-19 vaccine. And it would be nice to believe that 2020 is going to get a little more stable and back to normal. However, the one thing that is certain is it's another year full of major changes and transformation. And to back some of this up, I did a little research here and found some great insights from a recent PricewaterhouseCoopers study that was done earlier this year on going back to work. And I'm going to read you just a few of these to set some context for our discussion here today. So remote work has been an overwhelming success. 83% of the survey's respondents now say that the shift to remote work has been successful for their employees. So most organizations are actually surveying their employees, and employees actually like working from home is what it turns out to be. Not to say that there's not reason to go back to the office. The office is here to stay, but its role is set to change. It is pretty important because we know that there's companies out there who never left the workplace, and there's companies who will never be going back to the workplace. But for most of us, there's a little in between of how will we get back and how will we safely get back. So this particular insight shows that 87% of the employees that responded think that the office is really important for collaborating with team members and building relationships, so culture. Employees want to return to the office more slowly than employers is what this insight found. So most of the executives that were surveyed assumed that their employees will be back working in the office even part-time by summer, early summer. And while most employees felt similar time frame, they weren't as eager to get back as soon as the executives were looking for. We also realize that there's no optimal balance of work days or home versus the office. This is a total experiment right now for most. So over half of the employees that responded prefer to be remote right now, like we talked about, but they would like to come in a few days a week once the pandemic concerns recede, while most of the executives feel that the employee should be in the office for at least 3 days a week. So it shows that they're thinking alike. Everybody wants to get back, right? They're just trying to figure out how to get back and when. That makes sense. And lastly, new employees, not new to an organization, but new in their experience of their profession. So employees that are 0 to 5 years of experience are more likely to want to be back and be back more often, because this is where they absorb culture and assimilate to the workplace and the company, and they get to meet managers and they get to go through training programs and sort of experience the first few years like everybody else did at the company. So, you know, when you sort of round all this up, there's a lot of good trends leading towards getting us back to the office the second half of this year. For those that are not really sure how this all sort of comes together, you know, space management as a piece of a subset of our platform, let me tell you a little bit about Corbett Anywhere. Corbett Anywhere is essentially a workplace experience platform, and we saw an increased demand in platform features to support companies transitioning back to the hybrid workplace over this past 12 months. And the common thread was all about needing to reach all employees and pave that way to being able to send personalized communications and transition to the digital workplace. So that really means enabling them with access to key information and data and resources and systems that they might have only been able to access from an office that they now need to be able to access from outside the office. So our dynamic platform enables companies to create and deliver personalized content, data, and information to everyone, no matter where they are. And we allow this to be published across many what we call endpoints. So this can be delivered via signage and all sorts of display screens, kiosks, desktops, mobile phones, internets, pretty much anywhere digital. And we've seen really firsthand, especially over these past 12 or 18 months, that the platform has become an essential technology to deliver personalized and critical communications, reduce risk, and increase employee confidence in returning to the office. So while this particular webinar is about the technology that can help you get people safely back to the office, communications plays a very instrumental role in all of that as well too. So as we move our way into talking about space management, let's take a quick look at what might be the second poll that we can throw out here for all of you. Launching that now. Give you all about 30 seconds to answer this one. All right. Looks like very interesting results there too, in that from what I'm seeing here from who's attending this webinar today, it's about 50-50 in regards to has your employer already done this. So without further ado, let's take you through space management. So George, the big question maybe let's start with is, what is space management?
Great, thanks, Greg. So space management is really a set of features that make going back to the office just a lot easier to manage. So with whether it's an employee or whether it's a visitor, it allows you to at a glance see which office spaces, whether those are office rooms or cubicles or more conference rooms, are available and which ones are occupied. So in that way, we're able to really talk about safety, right? Safe is a key word here. Another key word is compliance. How well am I being compliant with social distancing? So I can do an immediate check-in or I can do a future reservation, which is really good. Another great thing about the space management is it's really easy for the administrator to set up. The administrator just uses our built-in map element, and they can upload levels, upload maps, and then go ahead and use that and turn on the space management and set up the capacity, and we're good to go. Another great thing that's about our space management feature set is it's built right into our wayfinding as well. So as you can see on this screen here, this is kind of an example of a little interactive kiosk or an interactive mobile app. And I can easily go to just a wayfinding map, which will give me directions, or I can go to reservations, which will allow me to check in or do a future reservation. And everything you're going to see today is really also about contactless options. So you'll see QR codes all over the place. And that's built right into the product as well. You'll see in the top right-hand corner here, this mobile screen that I can just scan that QR code and I can bring that experience right to my phone.
So George, one of the things I found so interesting about this technology is, I mean, it's obvious right now the need for this in the current climate we're all living in with the pandemic, but you had created this technology pre-pandemic, right? So there was a reason for, or a need for this type of technology. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about what the history is and why you created it first, and how did the pandemic maybe cause it to evolve to where it is today?
Yeah, great question, Greg. So the concept of a movable workplace was actually in place before COVID. We had a lot of our large clients actually had a hoteling scheme, which allowed their employees to come in and use different offices all the time. They didn't have a set office that they always go to. They were able to move around a little bit. So the idea of hoteling, the idea of booking a different room was always there. Same thing with our conference rooms as well. Conference rooms and the experience of being able to go right up to a conference room and touch a kiosk or to scan a QR code, that was already in the platform right there, that experience. So what space management, what this feature set does is it just makes it a lot easier to use, a lot less options that I have to go ahead and set up manually. I can just drag and drop a map element onto the screen and I'm good to go. So we just made it that much easier with this release.
Interesting. So let's show everyone how this kind of works from some scenarios from if you're in an office space already, to how you can sort of find and reserve and navigate through to doing it from afar.
All right, sounds good, Greg. So what everyone's seeing on the screen right now is an example of going back into the office, and maybe this is a display that I see when I go into my lobby, or if I get off the elevators on the 3rd floor. It would be a welcome message coming back into the office, and this again could be an interactive kiosk, or it could be a really passive 100-inch digital display that's right on the screen. And then I can absolutely just use that and click around and choose to reserve or go to an actual map. Another way to do this is actually through what you're seeing on the screen here, which is a conference room ability here for space management. So much like just getting off of the elevators and being able to go in and book a given region, here I can just book a given room. And again, you'll see the QR code here. Everything we're doing is contactless so that I can take this experience to my phone and I can book this particular room, which is the boardroom, or I could actually choose based on availability, other resources and other rooms that are available at that time. All right. Once I'm actually in the lobby, in the office, again, off those elevators, another screen, and this again is just an example of an experience that can be created. A lot of different experiences can be created. This is where I can see at a glance that, hey, these are the regions or the rooms that are available. And it also kind of lets me know how many people can fit in a different region and what my capacity is. So again, I can just scan that QR code and I can take this experience to the phone where I can do an immediate check-in or I can do a future reservation as well. We give the CMS author and the administrator complete freedom on how to set up these regions. So unlike a lot of other solutions out there, which really map a one-to-one cubicle or a one-to-one desk with the reservation area, you can actually cordon off an entire southwest region of a floor and say that's region 3. Or like you see here in the bottom right-hand corner, that's meeting room 3. It can be a one-to-one mapping with what you have in Outlook 365, for example.
George, how do the maps get into the system?
Yeah, great question. So again, this is using our built-in map element that was there before, and that's what we use for our wayfinding. We just enhanced that greatly so that when, I just drag and drop a map element onto my canvas and builder, and then I upload my floors, and that the map fidelity is really based on the map that you upload. And then again, the great thing that we give you, which is different than other solutions, we give you the flexibility to draw out those regions. So you can draw out regions however you like. And again, it can be a one-to-one mapping with a cubicle, or it can be a very large region. And then what you kind of see highlighted on the screen here in meeting room 1, just to draw attention to it, is as an author, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to say in meeting room 1, I think the maximum capacity should be 8. So you can see right now we've got 0 of 8 people in there. But this really allows you as a content author or working with your facilities director to figure out what a capacity in a given region should be. It's not always one-to-one. Again, you can have a region that covers half of a floor in an office building, and you could say 20 people can fit into this region.
And George, I see that it produces a QR code. What is that used for?
Yeah, everything you're going to see in space management is related to QR codes. And again, this is really all about contactless ability, because all of this works with a kiosk where I would go up to a screen and touch it. And as we open up, that might be more and more prevalent. But for right now, as those early days when we're opening up the office, no one wants to touch screens, so we're going to keep it contactless. You just scan it with your phone, and it's going to take that check-in and reservation experience right to your mobile phone.
And one of the things I talked about a few months ago when I talked about what the Corbett Anywhere platform is the multi-screen, multi-device capabilities. So this can be used across signage screens, desktop screens, URLs and web browsers, mobile phones, etc. Let's maybe show a little bit of how it's used across all of those different instances here.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. So here you see that experience being brought to your mobile phone. So in that first image on the left-hand side, everyone, you're going to see this is the screen that I would get immediately after scanning that QR code. It's going to give me some details about the floor, how many regions do I have, and it's going to have those 2 all-important buttons right there to either check in now, which would be an immediate ad hoc check-in, or a reserve button, which means I can reserve this for the future. Maybe I showed up to the office and I'm actually going to go out for a while and then come back in. I can reserve it for a couple of hours later. The other great thing it's going to do is going to give me at a glance. I'm going to know how many people are in a given region right now. So maybe I had it in my mind that I wanted to go to office location 3 because that's my favorite place. I see that that's actually occupied, so I'm going to have to go out and choose a different office. The middle image right there, that's just showing you an example of that immediate check-in. It's going to say, hey, I want to check into office 4 in this case. I click update and I'm checked in. And then that image on the right-hand side is the future reservation. Again, I'm going to go ahead and using the registration information that I already have in my phone, it's going to say, I would like a future reservation, either today's date at a different time or even a future date. And just like Greg said, we're just showing you the mobile experience. This happens again on the desktop and on the digital signage experience as well.
And you'll notice a consistency of look and feel across all of the screens and devices to ensure that that user experience is as seamless and easy to use as possible. Let's take a look at the desktop.
Yes, absolutely. So in all candor, this is a picture of my desktop right now. This is our desktop client running. And as a lot of people that are familiar with the desktop client, I can change the size of this. I can go ahead and dock this to the left or to the right. I can make this more of a landscape mode like I see here, or I can make it more of a portrait mode, which is what you saw previously on the mobile screen. I mean, the great thing about our software is it is very, very responsive, and it can automatically, our layout engine allows it to lay out in portrait mode versus landscape mode. So all the functionality you get with desktop is even more enhanced, again, here with space management. And the scenario here would be, I'm working from home and I want to go ahead and do a reservation for tomorrow. For tomorrow, I'd like to go ahead and move into meeting room 3. That's my favorite room, like I was saying earlier. I would just go ahead and click on the reserve button here. I would get that same exact experience I got on the mobile phone. It's just be on my desktop. And I could go ahead and reserve meeting room 3 for tomorrow, assuming it's not already at capacity.
And one of the concepts this all plays so well to is in this new world is hot desking, right? So maybe you're not going back to the same desk, to the same workstation, to the same conference room every time. So the ability to find anything in that building is possible now. What some of you might be saying, what if I don't use your mobile app? What if I don't use your desktop client or some of these other endpoints? There's still a way to use this as well too.
Yeah, so what we have here is a screenshot of our SharePoint. So this is using that anywhere concept, right? Where our layouts and our layout engine can work really anywhere. So you'll see that same exact experience that I had on my mobile, that I had on my desktop is now brought to SharePoint. So this means that I don't have to have the desktop. I don't have to have mobile. I can simply go to SharePoint or Adobe Experience Manager. I mean, really, for that matter, it could be any third-party website or any third-party mobile app where I can, again, bring this functionality of space management, where I can do that immediate check-in or I can do that future reservation.
And all of that is for embedding, which is pretty amazing that you can embed it anywhere that is digital and that enables embedding. But if you don't have something like that and you want to just create a URL to host it, you can do that as well too. So notifications, George, now that I've reserved space, right? What kind of confirmations do I get and alerts do I get? And if I'm an admin, what do I see there as well too?
Yeah, great question. So as an employee or even as a visitor, when I come in and I reserve, or even if I do an immediate check-in, you're going to get an email right away that's going to confirm that you've checked into this given space, or it's going to confirm your future reservation. Then as an administrator in the CMS, or just as a content author in the CMS, I can actually set up managerial or executive contacts to also get notifications of employees or visitors that are checking in. And I'm going to get, instant notification of which region they're in. I'm going to get instant alerts if a given area is over capacity or under capacity. So this really helps me as a company stay in compliance with social distancing. And it also does a limited amount of contact tracing as well, because I now know that George or Joe or Greg are in the office in meeting room 3 for the next 3 hours. So it gives you a lot of great functionality that helps you show that you are in compliance with social distancing.
So wayfinding, right? Like all of what we've showed you thus far helps you to find and locate and reserve and use office space, but there's also the opportunity to sort of find your way through a building or a campus as well too. How does our wayfinding work, George?
Yeah, and wayfinding is a core feature of the product even before space management, and we only make it better over time. But wayfinding has got a Venn diagram. It's very, very related to space management, because this isn't just for visitors, just for employees that maybe know your building like the back of their hand. This could be for visitors as well. But both scenarios can be treated here. So with, again, that kiosk experience that I have inside of the software, I can easily set up an experience so that, with one button, I can actually do some route finding and map out, hey, I want to go from the lobby to conference room B, and I don't know where conference room B is. So that's our normal wayfinding feature. I can just put my from and my to address there. And again, everyone, this all works on a interactive kiosk, but also on your mobile phone. Again, with that QR code, I can take this normal wayfinding feature right to my mobile phone, and I can actually figure out how I go from the lobby to conference room B.
And I can already see we've got some questions coming in. And before we address those questions, I am going to launch our third and final poll here. There we go. All right. Interesting results there. It still seems that everyone's primary device is your mobile device, and especially because of the touchless opportunity here. So that is great. Thank you for participating in those polls here today. Let's get to our key takeaways here, and then we'll get to answer some of your questions that are coming in here. So I think really what we wanted to do is show you what the software has to offer, right, in complement to the bulk of communications capability that the platform brings to the table as well. So as you're looking at your own company, or if you're in charge of this at your company, how is your company handling the return to the physical workplace, and where does technology play a role? We've seen that everyone has something going on here already, and there's more opportunity to explore technologies, and technologies like Corporate Anywhere allow you to sort of use one platform to sort of manage a lot, and that brings a lot of efficiency into your workflow there. Communications plays a critical role, especially in building that trust. And when we looked at those insights up front and we saw that, both, executives and managers are expecting employees to come back, although employees are pretty comfortable at home, there's going to take some good communications and trust building between both to sort of bring people back to a normal pace of going back to the workplace. And solutions like this are only going to help make it easier, and also could be sort of integrated into your current, whether you call it workplace experience or employee experience ecosystem. And what's really key here is, now that people are everywhere and you're trying to bring them back to certain locations, personalization is pretty key in terms of delivering the right relevant data, information, systems, or tools to people. So think about, the shape that your employee data is in, so you can use that for targeting and personalization, because it's going to come into play here for bringing people back to the office as well too. And of course, anyone who would like to see an in-depth demo of this in the software, please reach out to us. We would love to show it to you. So let's answer some of these questions, and we'll come back on camera here and come away from the presentation to be a little more personal here. So one of the questions I'm looking at here right now is, does space management have analytics, and can it provide actionable metrics?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things whenever we develop a new feature is we actually think about the analytics and reporting right from the beginning. So with our analytics, not only can you get a great overview of my buildings and my floors, or maybe even multiple buildings that make up of a campus, I can get that look and see how many people are actually reserving, checking in day to day, week over week, month over month. But I can also get those details there, right? I can see exactly, did George check in? Did Greg check in? What's his pattern? Another thing that the analytics allow you to do is see how your building is being used. After, as we get back to work here, do I need as much office space as I needed before? Or based on my capacity and based on my geometric layout of my building, maybe I need more office space. So we've seen it go both ways, where I need to reduce office space or I need to increase office space. So it gives you a great set of analytics for you to do a lot more than just tracing employees and checking in.
Another good question, we've seen this one many times before, does space management integrate with Outlook or other calendaring systems?
Absolutely. Just like part of our current feature set for the map element or the conference room element is to connect to Outlook as well as Google Calendar. That's built right in. As long as it's a resource in Outlook or a resource in Google Calendar, there's a one-to-one mapping there between that and our system.
Can it be client branded? Where can a customer brand the experience, George?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually one of the strengths of our platform is, unlike a lot of products out there, with our canvas and our building of a map, I can put really any experience I want to. So I can put my company logo on the screen in addition to my map, in addition to weather and traffic or other useful information from my SharePoint, information from my Salesforce, information from my ERP. Again, this goes back to the core strength of our product. Really, anything is possible from a design perspective.
Will Corbett offer the development of the wayfinding map? I think I can take this one, in that if you're, this question, if it's in reference to, can we help you create the maps? We have a professional services team and certainly can help in lots of different ways like that. So generally this is handled by the customer. You probably have real estate or facilities people already with maps and creating them. If you don't, we can certainly help you out there. Are any of the analytics related specifically to the use of real estate?
Not right out of the box. It's definitely a feature set we would be open to adding. So there's not an automatic calculation or geometric calculation to say, hey, I drew a region that's 9 meters by 18 meters, and that should allow 12 people in there, and the optimal usage should be something else. But it's definitely something we could add in the future if we see a lot of demand for that.
Can other office equipment be reserved through this system as well?
Yeah, I mean, with the Corbett platform, I always say this, anything is really possible. So using our AV partners plus our IoT devices and our web services, really any experience can happen here. So not only can we book conference rooms where there's a one-to-one mapping with Outlook, if you've got a space and you now want to make that a resource in Outlook, you can do that. or you can absolutely make it a resource in our system and do with our web services bidirectionally transfer that over to Outlook. So really anything that you can imagine is possible with the software.
Here's an interesting one. Will Corbett be offering a range of screen hardware which can sit in or around the area in question showing occupied space?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, really any kind of screen or kiosk or calendar door display that we've already offered in the past. I mean, we have a very open ecosystem here. So really any screen provided by any of the big market players out there can be used to make that experience come to life.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about some of these questions and the way George is answering them too is that there's a core to the functionality, right? That serves the purpose of finding space and reserving it and understanding capacity so it's safe and confirming all of that and the communications around all of that. But integrations play a big role, right? Our vision for where this could go, is where your vision where this can go, right? So I think there's always the nature of custom integrations. When you walk into a building and you've already got, the temperature check system and all of that there, it's not an out of the box feature, but could we integrate with that? Absolutely. We've thought a lot about those type of things. So I think anyone who has questions on, where your vision is, it could go there as well for you or your customers. Let's take 2 more questions here. One of them is, can a zonal map be created to inform staff of no-go areas with instant alerts to different screens like mobile?
Oh, getting a lot of great questions. Yeah. So this is really just part and parcel of the element that already existed before. So again, with the core map element, if I'm doing construction in the southwest quadrant on floor 11, I can absolutely just go into that layout. I can take that map, draw that area there as off limits, change the route finding there, and it will show up as an off limits area.
Few more. Can I use 10-inch Android screens for this?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, the great thing, as we said, with Corbett is you don't have to even have an Android screen or a Windows screen or any specific screen. We can actually use Sonar and our Corbett Anywhere technology. So without a doubt, we can even put this on Crestron devices if you like. But Android screens, no problem at all.
Yeah, again, what you can imagine, this is meant to fit on almost any screen, right? A mobile screen is the smallest screen you'll probably use, and it fits very well there as well too. The last 2 questions I see I could probably use to wrap us up here, which one of those questions are, can I understand how the licensing works? And I see a few in here, can I see a demo of it another time? And the answer is yes. And if you're already working with Corbett and you have an account exec, reach out, let's schedule something. We'll be happy to demo this and talk about licensing with you. Alternatively, if you're not already a customer or active partner, if you go to corbett.com, at the top of our website on any page, there's a get a demo button. Just fill out that form, it'll come to us and we will reach right out to you to talk about the license structure and demo it for you. With that said, we really appreciate your time. We wanted to keep this short and sweet this morning. Happy St. Paddy's Day to you and hope this was really helpful. And we really wish you all a very safe way back into the workplace soon.
Awesome.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.